Welcome to Wholesome Counseling. Through heartfelt conversations, expert interviews, and practical advice, we'll dive into topics that matter most to you. Whether it's navigating intergenerational conflicts, challenging relationship and family dynamics, or nurturing healthy boundaries, Wholesome Counseling Podcast will be your trusted resource for holistic and culturally sensitive guidance to personal healing, growth, and flourishing. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today to today's show. Today we have a very special guest today in our midst. His name is John Adeyemi. John has over 8 years of professional experience in providing migration services for overseas as well as clients within Australia. He does this passionately and offers the best possible standards on professional services. John has helped many to navigate their complex immigration journey. He is a registered migration agent, a chartered professional engineer, professional Scrum Master, and a pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God. He's a member of Migration Institute of Australia. He's a member of Migration Alliance, a member of Engineers Australia, and Project Management Institute. John is an alumnus of many institutions, including ANU Australia. His expertise includes all areas of migration law, including work and sponsorship visas, student visas, general skilled migration visas, business visas, family, parent, and visitor visas, to name a few. John, thank you so much. You're welcome on our show today. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right. I guess today a lot of our audience are really excited, looking forward to connect that bit of migration to what is a typical experience of those that are culturally diverse. And I'm going to read a quote from Daniel Sanchez and Morales Robert that talked about migration. It says, from dealing with complicated paperwork to saying goodbye to loved ones, migration is an emotionally exhausting process with so much difficulty. Migrants face challenges such as acclimatizing themselves to a different cultural context, learning a new language, struggling with alienation, and wrestling with feelings of remorse or guilt for leaving their home country, among other challenges. In a rush to become so-called productive members of society, new migrants face often diminished or set aside their emotional response to the stresses they are encountering in their journey, in their attempt to begin a clean new chapter in their life. I think that resonates with a lot of us because whilst we are usually very excited in our home countries that we are relocated to a new country where we'll start new chapters of our lives, sometimes we don't realize how much exhausting the process can be. And I know that you are in a much better place to tell us and describe to us how cumbersome this whole process, particularly the visa process, can be. I'll just ask you, John, please share with us your family's migration story and how long you've lived in Australia.
Oh, thanks. That's an interesting question. I migrated to Australia in the year 2011, August precisely. So I'm now more than 11 years in Australia. And my family joined me 4 months after I arrived in Australia. So my story was, what led to that was that I got a job here,
All right.
and it was an employer that sponsored me. So I came on a visa called 457 then.
All right.
Um, the visa is no longer in existence. It has been replaced by another visa called 482. So
Hmm.
it was an employer sponsored visa, which was for just one year.
Okay.
So I took a big risk, you know,
Yeah.
by coming to Australia. And when I arrived in Australia, I love the country. I love the people. I love the culture. I love, the environment. I love everything
Yeah.
about Australia. So I just decided that, look, this is a place I will call home.
Yeah.
Let me do everything that I needed to do at that time just to get my residency. So I I didn't even understand what it means to have a permanent residence here.
Hmm.
So I didn't know much about it. So I had to, go through the process and eventually
Hmm.
got my permanent residency and became Australian citizen as a family. So that is my story. That's my story in a nutshell. So I've called
Yeah.
Australia home since I arrived, and I've not looked back.
Hmm.
And I can't look back. It's too late to look back.
I can imagine. That's a long, long time. There
Yes.
is there is this saying someone said to me some years ago about migration. The lady said to me, "Did you know that migrants can be in the middle of nowhere?" He said, because here in Australia, or it could be another country for someone else listening in today, they call you a migrant, right? And then when you probably visit your country of origin, they say, "Oh, he came for a visit." So you're never really anywhere, so to speak, um, anymore as a migrant. But I guess we all make the effort to call Australia home. Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. So let me just say something here. But one
Yeah.
thing about Australia is that Australia is out of four people in Australia, at least three are born overseas.
Oh,
So everyone is a migrant. And
yeah.
so we are all migrants in one way or the other. So
Yeah.
Australia is a culturally diverse society.
Yeah.
So it's not about where you come from anymore, but rather what can you offer, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what really matters in Australia.
Wow. That's
Mm.
so profound. Thank you for bringing that up to our observation. And our viewers, I just want to put a disclaimer here that John bears John Adeyemi and I also bear Marvel Adeyemi, but we are not related. And the way that we connected is really an interesting story. So when we received our permanent residency visa overseas, I went on looking online to see if there was anyone that was already located here in Australia. And then I checked into this website called Nairaland. And that was where I saw John's post talking about Australia and Sydney. And then I chatted up with him personally and just asked, "Oh, please tell me a little bit more about the states in Australia because we've received our permanent residency, but we're not sure of which state to, coming and arriving to." And John was so helpful. And that is the way that John and I connected. But only to also find out that we had worked together in an organization previously in different states. So I think that our case of connection is really so coincidental and so blessed.
That's correct.
unusually unusually so. And I can say that John really has a heart to support people, and he had long been supporting people with migration advice long before he became um, a registered Australian migrant, like so supportive and just has a heart to support people and connect people into the community. So he's such a wonderful community connector. That's what I call him.
That's funny. I accommodation.
Yeah. So, John, in your observation, what are the challenges that you've observed that families or individuals face when they arrive in Australia?
Oh, that's also an interesting question in the sense that a lot of migrants face challenges, and
Mm,
it varies from individual to individuals. Now, common challenge maybe getting a job, uh,
mm,
trying to get a professional job.
mm,
Maybe someone who happen to work as a manager overseas, coming to a
mm,
new country.
mm.
Sometimes you might need to start from the scratch.
Yeah.
You might need to take a junior role, and to
Mm,
even break that barrier of local experience, because it's a big challenge.
mm,
Once you may throw in your application and they get back to you, sorry, on this occasion you are not considered. Why?
mm,
Because they feel that you do not have local experience. You
mm.
definitely need to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's one challenge, and to overcome that, you may need to you keep trying. That's just the truth. You keep
Mm,
trying until you are able to get that breakthrough.
mm,
And sometimes don't go for permanent role. You could just start with a contract role. So
mm.
starting with a contract role, maybe like a short-term contract role,
Yeah.
we give you a leverage to get
Mm,
a better, offers, subsequently. That's
mm.
one thing migrants do.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen. And you need to also, in order to break through the barrier of job, getting a professional job,
Yeah.
sometimes migrants will need to downgrade their CVs and update
Mm,
it as well, adapt it, to
mm.
Australia's standards. That is what Australians employers or recruiters expect to see on your CV. If they don't
Mm.
see such things, they won't even invite you.
Yeah.
So that's one big one, is getting a job. And that
Yeah.
one is, because you are in a new environment, you've left your maybe extended families back home,
Yeah.
then meeting new people, you
Yeah.
just have to connect with people. You know,
Mm,
challenge of meeting new people, you don't know whether they will accept you or not. So you are
mm.
scared of reaching out. And so there are things you need to do, to overcome that.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe in your local community, get involved.
Mm,
Don't stay idle, don't stay alone, don't stay on your own. Just, you have
yeah.
to get out there, meet people in shopping mall, meet
Mm,
people in sports centers, get involved as a volunteer, in the local event,
yeah.
get involved in churches if you are, if it's a person of faith, in
Yeah.
mosque if you are, whatever faith you belong to.
Yeah.
Just go out there, meet with new people, and out of 10, at least two will become your new friends. And these are people you can relate with,
Yeah.
and move on from there. And your professional colleagues as well,
Yeah.
connect with them, connect with, network is very key. So,
Mm,
and another challenge I see people face is getting decent accommodation, because it
mm.
can be challenging to get the first
Yeah.
accommodation.
Yeah.
Landlords, agents do not know you.
Mm,
They are not sure if you are able to pay. Here
yeah.
they don't do Santa Claus. They don't dash you things. You just have to. They want to see that you are able to pay. So
Yeah.
you have to, in that case, sometimes you might need to pay six
Mm.
months upfront.
Oh dear.
Yes, so to overcome that barrier, show that you are able to pay your rent, then pay
Mm,
upfront 6 months.
mm,
Normally, you are not supposed to pay more than 2 weeks, but
mm.
show them that you are able to pay, and that way you'll be able to overcome that. Or get someone who is already established to
Yeah.
help you out, to help you talk to, agents, their
Mm-hmm.
agents, so that they can help you with accommodation. That's the
Yeah.
first, you need to get your first accommodation, of course.
Yeah.
Then maybe if you language barrier is another challenge. you
Okay.
know sometimes Australia English is totally different from our British English. You need to
Yes.
really pay attention to understand their their terminologies, their vocabulary. If you speak your own
Yes.
vocabulary, they may not understand you,
Mm.
and you may not understand them as well. So
Yes.
language barrier is a key challenge as well that
Yes.
migrants do face.
Mm.
And because migrants, sometimes they have families, children,
Yeah.
raising children in this environment is totally different from overseas.
Yes.
There are things you could do to children outside, but
Yeah.
here in Australia, you cannot do it. You cannot
Yes.
spank your child anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be careful of the way you talk to your child,
Mm-hmm.
in the public. So,
Mm-hmm.
but overseas, anything goes in
Mm.
some places. But
Yeah.
here in Australia, it's a totally different ball game. So, you have to understand the way children can be treated. You can deal
Yes.
with children, and also it can be challenging. Daycare, getting your child in daycare can be
Yes.
challenging as well, and the cost
Mm-hmm.
of living in Australia
Oh,
is
tell me
huge.
about it.
Yeah, it's really huge. So you must be ready to pay. Don't be the type that before you spend money, you have to exchange to your local currency. You get bored of it, you get tired of it.
Yes.
So these are a few challenges I can mention. you know.
Oh, thank you. You mentioned so much, so
Mm,
many
no worries.
challenges, and I think that most people listening in today would probably be laughing over it,
That's
or
correct.
go like, "Oh, where were you all this while? I needed to have heard heard all of this advice."
Mm,
Um, but it's good that we can laugh over it now, and it's just part of the experience
that's
of
correct.
migrating and acculturating into Australia.
That's
I
correct.
my next question is about community. As a social worker, I'm big about community, and I cannot ignore the wonderful role that you are playing as one of the spiritual leaders in the African community as a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. For most culturally diverse people, we believe that the, a man has a body, a spirit, and a soul. And it's very natural that culturally diverse people are inclined to spirituality and in the way that they intend to communicate to the supernatural. For the Christians, that'll be through the Bible, through praying in the name of Jesus. And you are a pastor. I I have observed that the Redeemed Christian Church of God is one of the um, strong institution in the community that is really supportive of new migrants into Australia. And I just want you to speak a bit about, the services that you offer and how you create community for newly arrived migrants.
All right, that's great. So for us as a church, so what we do to get migrants acclimatized
Yeah,
fast in the society once they come in
yeah,
is we have several groups within the church, like welfare,
okay,
people that are trained, uh, providing information, right information
yeah,
and useful information that will help them settle in the area
yeah,
of all the challenges we have mentioned,
yeah,
getting a job, helping them getting accommodation,
yeah.
helping them, getting the right information on schools, even suburbs where to live,
Oh,
cheaper, so affordable suburbs.
yeah.
I remember something some years ago. I was looking for a place to rent. And
Mm,
I mentioned it to another in the church, and he said, "No, don't go to that place. Uh,
mm,
you may not be able to cope there." And that is true.
mm.
So yeah, we have all these supporting groups there that are there to give an helping hand. And
Yeah.
if you are the type that have maybe young kids, we have elderly people that can say, "Look, we can get cheaper." You can bring your child to our house, just for family
Yeah.
daycare,
Yeah.
and you get it at discounted rate. So information here is key.
Yes.
If you are not informed, you are deformed in Australia.
Mm.
You
Mm.
must have access to information, and
Mm.
getting that information can prolong your journey if you don't
Absolutely.
have it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have the right information, it makes your journey faster. For example, in our
Yes.
group, in a church, we have students, international students, who
Yes.
are paying heavily here in Australia.
Yes.
Imagine
Yes.
studying for 2, 3, 4, 5 years in Australia
Mm.
without leading to residency. It can be
Mm.
challenging. But if
Yes.
you get the right information that, look, you don't have to study for that long before you get your
Yes.
residency, or you
Mm.
can study the right course that will
Mm-hmm.
lead to getting residency faster. So
Yes.
these are things that the church supports, migrants with. We
Mm.
provide that information. We hold seminars from time to time,
Yes.
seminars on different issues on health, seminar on immigration, seminar on career,
Mm.
because a lot of people have to change their careers.
Yes.
Maybe someone who was trained in business overseas coming here, you can say, well, health is a big one here. If you don't mind,
Yes.
you might need to, maybe if you like nursing, you can go for nursing. So
Mm-hmm.
we provide that information and give them that options, to choose from. And that has been helping, and it has helped people to really acclimatize faster than, if they decide to live on their own. Because I've
Ah,
seen people that
yes.
decide to isolate from the community, that say, well, I don't want to integrate. They get their hands burnt at the end of the day.
Mm.
They regret their actions sometimes,
Mm.
and it's not that good to just say, well, I want to keep to myself. I don't want to
Mm.
actually relate with people. I don't want to network. It
Mm.
makes the journey longer for such people.
Oh,
Mm,
wow.
mm,
I just want us to pause a bit because that was a lot that you shared there.
mm.
So, viewers, I will encourage you to listen to this podcast over and over again so you can just take in all of that information because that is so much that he just shared. Um, John, you just mentioned something so profound. Information is very important. The more you know, the faster you are able to acculturate.
Yeah,
But the less you know, the slower the journey, particularly when you arrive on short-term visa and you're looking to settle into residence. That requires a lot of strategic information. Thank you for sharing that.
no
And
problem.
I just believe that we can't do life alone in our countries of origin, let alone do life alone overseas. Like it just won't work. You
That's true.
can't you can't travel alone. You need
Yeah.
all the support and the community connections that you can get. Um, and as a therapist, this is one of the ways that I encourage my clients. Get connected to your community. You don't need to connect to everyone at the same time. It could just be one person that you feel comfortable with, that is respectful, and there is no judgment in the relationship. And it could be one person, two people. That goes a long way to promote one's well being and mental health because I'm not going to go in there, but one's mental health and well being as a migrant is another big topic, which I think I'll reserve for another podcast.
Mm.
Thank you so much.
No, no
Um,
worries.
the next question I'll be asking will be for those that intend to migrate into Australia in terms of either as students or as families looking to just come over to Australia and be a part of this lovely country. What advice or recommendations would you give them in terms of things they need to start adding to their kids for relocation? You know what I mean?
Yep.
I, yeah, what recommendations would you give them?
So, my first recommendation is that they should r- seek professional advice.
Mm.
That is very key.
Mm.
I remember someone who reached out to me some times ago and said, I would
Yeah.
love my wife to come to Australia to study.
Okay.
I knew him back overseas when we were in overseas. We worked in the same companies. And I told him
Yeah.
straight away that, look, your wife does not need to come to Australia to study for you before you migrate
Mm.
to Australia. You can
Yeah.
migrate to Australia as a ski migrant,
Mm-hmm.
and which is cheaper. If your wife
Yes.
then decide to study, it will be done at a discounted rate.
Mm.
So, and I took him through the journey,
Mm.
and he got him to Australia as a ski migrant.
Oh.
So, which was far, far cheaper than the option he was looking at before. So the first thing is to seek professional advice. Don't do it alone. Don't
Mm-hmm.
say, well, I have done my own research. I think I know the best way. No,
Mm.
that's not it. Get the right information from the right source,
Yes.
which is seeking professional advice. It's just like a
Yes.
builder. So if someone who wants to build a house, you
Yes.
go to an architect to give you a plan. You
Mm-hmm.
have the idea of the kind of house you want to build, but an
Yes.
architect need to draw it for you. Your
Yes.
desire is to migrate to Australia. Okay, an architect here is an expert, immigration
Yes.
expert that look, this is the best option for you based on your profile.
Absolutely.
That one thing I do personally is once people reach out to me to
Yes.
seek advice on immigration, I say, send me your CV.
All
Once I have
right.
their CV, I review it. It won't take me 2 minutes
Mm.
to assess the CV and tell them that look, the best option for you is this. You
All
can come in
right.
as a skill migrant or come in through study.
All right.
So these are things I will recommend they do first. And if it is maybe through skip migration pathway, then
Okay.
the other things will be you need to write English test.
All right.
Australia believes in it. You must provide. It's one of the key requirements. And
Yes.
also age is a factor. So these are things, questions that we ask, as a
Yes.
professional to know
Yes.
whether you'll be eligible for as to apply for skill visa or not. And if you are coming
Yes.
for study, if you have had maybe a bachelor degree, I would say, well, the best thing is to come for a master's degree
Hmm.
because you don't want to have issue with immigration. There's what we
Okay.
call genuine temporary entrant,
Okay.
GTE. It has
Okay.
to be met
Okay.
before they can grant that visa. You may
Hmm.
scale the hurdle of getting admission from the school, but
Okay.
how about immigration? Immigration still
Hmm.
need to decide on your application whether to grant you your student visa or not. So if
Oh.
you say, oh, because masters may be too expensive, let me come for diploma,
All
it will
right.
not work.
All
So
right.
getting that right information is very key. And once your visa is granted, of course, my advice would be get connected with people that are on
Mm-hmm.
ground here.
Hmm.
Know the location you are going to. Though, for example, I remember someone who came and we met somehow. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, he was staying in an hotel at the time.
Hmm.
I reached out to him personally after I
Yeah.
got an information that he arrived already. So
Yeah.
I told him that, how much are you paying the hotel where you are? He said, I'm paying $100 per day. I said,
Hmm.
that's too expensive. You can
Hmm.
get a better place. First of all, come over to my place.
Oh.
And he came over and he stayed with me for almost 1 month.
Oh.
So, and I told him, look, where are you looking at to get an accommodation? He was saying, I would like to stay very close to the campus. He came out on a student visa. I said, it does not matter in Australia.
All
In Sydney
right.
here, the
Yeah.
public transport is functioning well.
Yes.
So you can live anywhere. As a matter of fact,
Yes.
live in a place that you'll be able to afford.
Yeah.
Because how much did you think you brought into the country that will amount to something here? By the time you do the exchange, you will know that the money is nothing.
Oh dear.
So he listened to me, and
Yeah.
thank God that he listened, and it was able, that was how we resolved that issue. So
Yeah.
yeah, so get connected with people who will give
Yeah.
you right information and use
Yeah.
that information as well. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I would
Yes.
advise.
That's so profound. In fact,
Mhm.
thank you. That last comment you made, use the information, is so profound.
That's correct.
Uh, all right. As we bring this lovely conversation to a conclusion, John, how can you be reached for migration services?
Well, people can reach me through my email,
Okay.
dancemigration@gmail.com.
Okay.
They can also reach me through my mobile number,
Okay.
which is 045 222 And they can reach me through my website, dancemigration.com.
Okay. Can you
Dams,
spell the dams, please? So
yeah,
that okay.
DAMS
Yeah.
MIGRATION,
All right.
damsmigration.com. So you can reach me through these avenues and I will respond.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so
No
much,
worry.
John, for coming to this wonderful podcast show today. And our viewers, I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. We could go on and on to, unpack a lot of things around migration, as a single person, as a family, and the likes. But time will not permit us to do that. But I'm hoping that John will come back to the podcast to share more of his wisdom and insight. But if you are needing migration services, either for yourself or for family members overseas, get in touch with John. He's a man of integrity and he will provide you with professional migration services. Thank you so much, John, today. Thanks for listening. Remember that relationships and family are like gardens, they need constant nurturing and care. Tune in next time to learn more about how to cultivate healthy relationships. Until then, take care of yourself and those around you. If you need some counseling support, make a booking with me at wholesomecounseling.com.